England 2, Germany 0. Arch nemesis versus always pessimistic nation. But England are through. England are in the quarterfinals. Don't say it. Don't say it because it will jinx it. But it might be seeing H. I don't know, but I'm not going to say it. But England have won their game. So fair play, England. Got to give them credit. And fair play, Gareth Southgate. A lot of people doubting him, but England got it done. And a lot of England fans will be loving life now because they can call Thomas Muller Tom Miss Muller. Now, fair play. He's done absolute bits for his country, but, he wasn't clinical in that game. Germany weren't clinical. England just did a job on them tactically. And with Sancho and with Foden, obviously it's nice to get them involved. But, I think a lot of people are thinking right now, maybe Sancho has railed, rattled Southgate at this point. Because how is he not starting against a team that is basically from the Bundesliga? He'll know them inside out. He'll know their weaknesses. So, yeah, I don't know. Germany knocked out. It is what it is. I think Germany, they are a bit weaker than previous years, but they're still amazing. Their team, Werner, Muller, Gnabry, Gundogan, their team isn't, too bad. So this is not some, lucky win for England. I think that it does stink for a lot of Germany fans. Obviously, because of the rivalry, it will hurt. But it's not a smash and grab. It's certainly a game where England were calculated, they were calm, and they were clinical. So this is my review of England's win over Germany in the last 16. It means that England now face Ukraine on Saturday night in the quarter-finals. So interesting one, this one. Will it come home? Oh, I just said it. Damn, I've just jinxed it. Oh dear. Hopefully that won't happen. But anyway, no. Talking about this game, it ended 2-0. I think this game, everyone looked at it and thought it's going to be tight, it's going to be nervy, and it was that at times. Let's try and pick through the main things that I can remember from the game. I might just go all over the place because there's a lot to get through. So, first of all, I think when people saw that lineup, everyone was a bit negative. You thought that team a bit pragmatic, a bit boring. Because, we were playing 3-4-3. We were matching Germany directly and not looking necessarily to go for it and expose their weaknesses. But I guess after a hungry match like that, you thought, go on, we can get at this Germany team. But actually, the threat they showed against Portugal, and at times the threat they showed against France, but they didn't quite have that clinical side to their game, there is a threat there. And, Gareth Southgate can hear what he's saying hear what he's getting told by the England fans, and he can go for it. But he can be a little bit naive by doing that. But no, he stays, very calm, and he actually just matches up the two formations. And, all right, it's not exciting, but it's effective. It is effective. It's level-headed, and it's effective. Now, I know we will be saying it's not effective if the game had gone to Germany. And in these kind of matches, of course, you've got to have a bit of luck, as we saw with Thomas Muller's absolute sitter that he missed late on in the game, the 81st minute. But England also fully credited their win. They were just defensively so sound. Going forward, they made lots of chances. And, all right, Harry Kane's not had a good tournament, but I just had a feeling. I felt that the goal was coming for Harry in this one, and he got it. And it was another inspired contribution from Jack Grealish off the bench. When will that man start? You've got to start him against Ukraine, Gareth. I don't know, but you play that team against a strong side like Germany. Ukraine, no disrespect, we have to be, thinking that's a much more winnable game. So you play Grealish in there. You go at Ukraine. You don't have any fear going into that game. It was a fearless performance from England, but you certainly got to go for that Ukraine game. I know they, were pretty impressive against Sweden, but the fact is they played an extra time. They got tired out. There's going to be, gaps and holes in that Ukraine team to exploit. And although they offer a threat with Yaremchuk and Yarmolenko and Zinchenko getting forward very often, they do have weaknesses and they do have little, targets to really home in on. So I think with Gareth Southgate, you've just got to draw the line. With all those fans who were, completely frustrated with his managing and just undermining his authority, you've got to draw the line. This man has done very little wrong as manager. And I know that, England fans always seem to be very high in their expectations. But in 2018, the World Cup, England didn't have much expectation. It was more hope than anything else. After the crashing out to the Iceland, you just thought, can this England team reunite the country? And they did exactly that. And against Croatia, it was jubilation from the Trippier free kick, and then it all fell flat again. And I don't want to jinx it, as I mentioned before, but it doesn't feel the same this time. And I think that for those England fans out there, they need to be careful. They shouldn't get carried away, but it is looking good. I know this is, a year like no other, with the tournament getting called off for a year. But the way that the draw has favoured England, I think there's not going to be much of a better opportunity for these players. These young players who, all right, they're going to have another stab at it. They're going to have another tournament to, try and get back to the top of the European, stage and back at the top of the World Cup stage. But this is a big opportunity to take now. And if they pass it up, then I don't think Southgate goes. I think Southgate has, conducted himself very, very well. But it will be a big, big disappointment with the amount of talent in that team right now, the amount of young players coming through. And actually, some of the older players in there, the likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Harry Kane and Jordan Henderson, are just perfect role models right now for those other players coming through. Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, obviously Calvin Phillips coming through in terms of his first big tournament. But there are a lot of players in that team. And the balance, of course, it's almost the impossible job as England manager because you've got so many people telling you what to do in one ear and so much quality in the squad. And you don't want to bench the wrong players. But fair enough. We went pragmatic against Germany. We benched Grealish. We benched Sancho. But it was the right kind of pattern of players to put out on the pitch. So let's go through some of the chances. I mean, I think we've got to first of all touch on Jordan Pickford because he has been absolutely sensational. Such a safe pair of hands so far. Just excellent. He's feeling so much more confident now, and that is a fantastic save to deny Timo Werner. I mean, the ball in from Kai Havertz is perfect. You've got to say those two with their Chelsea connection link up so well. And it's a lovely pass threaded through to him. But, England took a little while to get going. But once they did, after about maybe 10, 20 minutes, after Germany had a, confident spell, England just imposed themselves on the game. And that is a difficult save to make with Pickford because he has to get his body behind it. And if he, opens up his legs a little bit more of a gap, then, that could go through them. But he has just enough to get his body on top of it and really just squash the ball in terms of the power and the direction and just, smother it really. So good goalkeeping, it's got to be said. And then the chance at the end of the first half, I mean, Harry Kane, 9 times out of 10 for Tottenham, he'll take that around the goalkeeper and he'll put it in the back of the net. But this tournament has been a worry for him. It has been a phase of, a lot of goings on in the transfer market. Obviously, Tottenham don't want to sell him. He wants to go with them not getting trophies. But Man City want to get him, 100 million offer. It's all going on. And of course, the pressure of playing for your nation in a tournament that they were the favourites of at the start. Obviously, the Wembley crowd having a big role to play. But it was still pretty crazy when you think about how many strong teams there were at the start, that England were one of the favourites. But at the end of the day, Kane has got that star quality in him. He's got that quality in scoring a moment and scoring a goal when he's not played well. and that's what he can always do. So I didn't agree with Gareth Southgate taking him off in the last couple of games because he can always provide that moment of magic. But in this game, he certainly was very sloppy, very slow in his performance. So from an England perspective, it was a frustrating watch. And that chance at the end was a big one because the way that England worked it, it was really, really patient build up, but the perfect pass through. And I just think Harry Kane has got to take the shot early. He thinks about it, he takes it around, good dribbling. Raheem Sterling does all the work, and it's some really good creation of passing. But yeah, Sterling, obviously, and Kane, they're the duo, and they do work on the same wavelength. But in that respect, maybe he passes to Bukayo Saka. I don't know, Harry Kane, but he tries to go around him, and it just takes too long. Mats Hummels, you got to give credit to him because his last ditch stuff. It looked like it was over for Germany from defending that chance, but yeah, Hummels' last ditch sliding challenge, and then of course it comes to Saka, and you think, go on, son, you're just a few yards out, put it in, but it actually goes behind him. He kind of manages to have the shot, and it just slips underneath him and goes away for a Germany clearance. So it was crazy, really, that first half, in the fact that there wasn't many chances, but you still felt that Germany were a threat on the break. And second half comes along, another great save from Jordan Pickford. I mean, that is just what Pickford is all about. He keeps his eye on the ball, and it's a great strike from Kai Havertz. There's no denying it. He hit it so true and so well, but very, very strong hand to palm it over. And then the game starts to open up, and England just find those little gaps in Germany where they're starting to maybe get a little bit worn out. I think England, put a lot into the display, but I think Germany maybe just overran it a little bit. But I think with the amount of possession England had, the chances that they had in that second half were going to be just colossal. I think, obviously that Muller chance does change the game. I know England were winning at that point, and they still could have had a moment to equalise Germany, but it has a big impact on that because, this player, Thomas Muller, he is in German folklore. He, will always put that chance away, but not this time. Not this time for England, and it just felt like the momentum had switched from that point onwards, and actually England had done enough. With that kind of chance not going in, you felt, is this England's time? That's the question. With moments like that, a big chance missed on 81 minutes, and the roar from the fans at Wembley, it felt like that was a goal for England, and that goal, that never was really, with going just past of that right-hand post. So it was crazy. It really was. It was just a great fearless performance from England, and you've just got to give it to Southgate, a tactical masterclass. With Gosens and Kimmich, they're so attacking, so it was clever in a way to play that 3-4-3 and have just that counterbalance of their German threat. But I think it's just this game had built up so much history. England always lose to Germans in football, and they're always smarter than us. They're always, more clinical. But England just did a job on them. They seemed to know from the get-go that they were going to do it this time. Kyle Walker, he had a great game, I thought. Great recovery pace, and at times he just sees the danger before it happens. Very, very intelligent defender. He had a great season with Man City, as did, of course, Phil Foden. But Raheem Sterling had a really poor season with Man City, and the fact is he's really redeeming himself with this England tournament, and he's responding to a lot of critics. So, it's good that he's reacting to this, criticism in the right way. But you got to give him credit. He's been, our main player, and he's got all the goals basically. So, apart from Harry Kane, of course, the 4 clean sheets is amazing for England. Obviously, Germany was the first one where you felt it was our, toughest test, but they were well organised, and I think that, as I mentioned, you won't see a better chance. There's never been a better chance for it to, properly be where we want it to be. Football to be where we want it to be. Not going to say those words again because it might genuinely jinx it. I don't know. It feels like this time might be different, but I think there's certainly less hope than there was in 2018. There's much more expectation. And of course, with that comes pressure. But Southgate, he's just got the tactics spot on. Well organised, well drilled, and, the right level of passion. Because this is what you want to see from a England team in a game where there's no second chances. It's, win or bust. And they won. I did feel like it would go to penalties because we've seen it so much. And it's such a great, personal achievement and personal goal that he's kind of reached now. Gareth Southgate, after missing the penalty in '96, that would have been playing on his mind, plaguing him. And he's put that to bed. So it is a bit of a scary thing for England now because they've got a greater height to fall from. Obviously, they're the favourites now, along with Denmark, I think, and along with Italy. But it is the tournament of the underdog, as we've seen. These countries like Ukraine, like Czech Republic, they've got nothing to lose. So don't write them off. It would be foolish to do that. But we saw with France, we saw with Netherlands, it's not always easy to beat these kind of supposedly lower ranked teams. But as we saw with, the Premier League this season and Leicester City winning the FA Cup, there is no traditional Big Six in, the top division. And I don't think there's even a traditional Big Six in, international football. I know there's the world rankings, but, some teams can just do the unthinkable. Your Icelands from 2016. And, of course, this season, I think it's been Denmark, it's been Ukraine. They've been absolutely unbelievable. So, yeah, Raheem Sterling, unreal. Just, put some respect on his name. This guy is just ripping it up. And he always gets in the right positions. He's making such positive runs, such great movement. And he gets into those little pockets of space that defenders can't deal with. They can't mark him. And that's the same with Jack Grealish. Once you get Jack Grealish on the ball, he makes something happen. He gets past a player. He gets a ball into the box. And he's just impossible to mark. So from that point of view, all right, you can mention Grealish and say that he should be used more in this tournament. But he has come on at the right times if he has to, start off from the bench. So it's perfect, Raheem Sterling, getting in behind the lines and making those runs. It terrifies defences. So if Sterling were to get injured, in the next few games, then I wouldn't say it's, game over, but it would be a seriously stern test for Gareth Southgate. I think they'd have to maybe go back to that 4-2-3-1. With Sterling, you can play him out on that left or the right, but I think with Grealish, once Sterling, or if Sterling, say, did miss out, Grealish goes straight into that left spot. And I think you still have, the squad depth to change it around. Rashford and Sancho, how they've not got look-ins so far, I really don't know. But, we've got options, England. So don't panic. Just keep calm and try and find solutions to these possible things that could be thrown at us. I think the formation as well was really clever from Southgate because it meant that Sterling was able to get higher up the pitch and actually get closer to Kane, support him, and then make those runs coming off him. And we saw that, of course, with the first goal. I mean, that is a brilliant ball from Luke Shaw. Grealish plays his part once again. Nice little, piece of decision making. He can go for the shot there and try and be flash, but no, he keeps the run going, keeps the chance, ticking. He plays it out to Shaw, and Shaw just finds him perfectly. He doesn't overhit that. He just places the pass. And Sterling is there. The fox in the box gets in between the two centre-backs and in between the goal posts. And, all right, it's, a tap-in, but he's got to sniff out the chance. He's got to be there to get there ahead of the defender. And he just really had a great game. And, of course, I think the second man to talk about in terms of a great performance was Harry Maguire. I thought he was just so hard to get past for Germany. Their, attacking display was determined, but even more determined was that England back line. I thought Maguire was unlucky in a way to not get that goal from a set piece, from a corner. He's so strong usually with his headering, but he kind of just didn't let the header completely just smash out the goalkeeper. He rather let the ball came to him rather than him go to it and really attack it. But at the end of the day, he's still been important coming into this team off the back of the injury. He was a great, defensive and just solid player to rely on for Manchester United this season. He's pretty much played all season apart from his injury. And it just felt like a bit of normality for those England fans to be back in the stadium. Well, to be beating Germany, full stop, but to be back in the stadium with fans and supporting England, it just felt like this is it. This is what we've missed over the last 12 months and a bit more than that. So I think that Grealish has to start against Ukraine. There's no two ways about it. I think that at the end of the day, there are a lot of game changers in this England team. Grealish is one of them. Saka, I thought, first half was very, very good, doing what he did against Czech Republic, and he deserved his start after that game. But then, of course, he kind of lost his way a little bit, but, that's to be expected. And I think that, the Sweden game was interesting because obviously that means Ukraine have played longer. They have got more, recovery to try and get back. But the Kane goal was massive. It was so massive because it just felt like a release for those England fans. A massive release because it was just a goal needed to go in to seal it off, and that was the clincher. And I think that the goal is just genius from Jack Grealish because there's not much space between Grealish and Kane when he receives that ball out on the left-hand side. But he just measures the cross, not too hard, but also not low enough for Kane to have to do all the work. He just, pops it into a good area. And Kane does well here, to be fair. Not get his body in the way of it, not kind of run into the ball, but just cushion the header and guide it down into the ground, past Neuer, game done. So it's a great result for England. I think that goal was massive for Harry Kane after, that missed chance at the end of the first half. And at the end of the day, Kane has just not been his tournament. But if he gets that goal, and like I said, he doesn't perform necessarily well, but once he gets in the swing of things, Harry Kane is pretty hard to stop. So maybe he goes on a little run now. But the wait was finally over for him. He got his goal, and really that Muller chance was massive. It really was. But at the end of the day, Sterling will be breathing a sigh of relief after giving away that ball, and you could see the reaction, what it meant to him. And the link up with Grealish and Kane is fantastic, and Sterling is just another part of that puzzle that's doing so well right now. So if you have enjoyed my review of England 2, Germany 0, then do go smash a like on it, of course. And get your predictions already. Early predictions in for England against Ukraine. Go on, England fans. I'm sure you'll really be nervous about that Saturday game, but let's see what happens. Thanks for watching.